Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a truly profound spiritual philosophy, the steps of cultivation. We live in this incredibly chaotic world where we are constantly looking for happiness in all the wrong places. But ancient wisdom actually offers us a precise, actionable roadmap to genuine inner peace. And today, we are going to unpack those exact steps one by one.
Here is our game plan for today. We're going to start macro with the cosmic timing, and then zoom all the way into the micro. We'll cover cultivating the inner self, the cultivator's mindset, actual steps of daily practice, guiding the family, and finally, how all of this leads to creating a happy life. Let's get right into it.
To really understand our ultimate goal here, think about the lotus flower. It's such a perfect metaphor. A lotus literally grows in the mud, right? But it rises above that muck to bloom with absolute purity and wisdom. That is what cultivation is all about. It's not about running away to a cave and forcefully removing yourself from society. It's about staying rooted in the real world, but letting your spiritual self bloom perfectly unblemished by the chaos, the mud around you. All our daily struggles, the stress, the negative emotions, that's the mud. But the lotus, that's what we can become if we follow these steps.
All right, so let's kick things off with Section 1, the cosmic timing, understanding our spiritual era.
Okay, so picture this, a massive cosmic cycle that lasts exactly 129,600 years. Just like our Earth has seasons, the entire cosmos has eras. The Green Era was basically the springtime of creation, a time when a few hermit-like sages achieved enlightenment way up in the remote mountains. Then came the Red Era, the summertime, where major religions really flourished and established widespread morality. But right now, we are in the White Era, the autumn. And just like autumn is when leaves fall and things start to wither, our current era is marked by decline, moral decay, and natural disasters. But here's the absolutely crucial part. Autumn is also the time for harvest. It's when you gather the mature crops before the winter freezes everything over.
Because of those intense, unique pressures of the White Era, we actually have an unprecedented golden opportunity. We can achieve enlightenment within a single lifetime. Seriously. In the past, spiritual seekers had to spend lifetimes meditating in total isolation just to make a little progress. But today, the urgency of this cosmic autumn means that if you put in focused, sincere effort, the spiritual growth you get is profound. We are literally living in the absolute best time for cultivation.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2, Cultivating the Inner Self, or Mastering the Micro. There's this fantastic piece of ancient wisdom that says, from the king to the commoner, self-cultivation is the root. And it is so incredibly true. It doesn't matter if you're a global leader running a massive country or an everyday worker just doing your best, the foundational requirement for a good life is exactly the same. Self-cultivation is the root. It's the anchor. If you don't anchor yourself internally first, all those external achievements are kind of empty, right? They lack spiritual meaning.
So how do we actually cleanse that internal landscape? Well, it's a four-step process. First, you've got to cut away material desires. You have to realize that buying more stuff is never going to fix an empty spirit. Once you drop those distractions, you hit step 2, removing the ego and all those selfish attachments. It's about tearing down those artificial walls we build between ourselves and others. And when that ego starts to fade, that naturally leads to step 3, cultivating a deep, unshakable inner contentment with right now, the present moment. Finally, step 4 brings it all together. You coordinate your mind and body with the middle path. You find a sustainable, healthy balance without swinging wildly between overindulging and completely denying yourself.
Let's keep that momentum going into Section 3, the cultivator's mindset. It's all about shifting our perspective.
Lao Tzu hit the nail on the head when he said we need to return to the purity of a child. Think about it. How does a kid interact with the world? They don't care about social status or how much money someone makes or past mistakes. They are just purely present. But as adults, we walk around wearing this incredibly heavy armor made of judgment and past traumas. True cultivation means dropping that armor. It means looking at life with fresh, forgiving eyes, just like a child.
And this is where we see the stark contrast between how the world usually reacts and the resilient optimism of a true cultivator. When ordinary society faces hardship, the default is to complain about a half-empty glass, fixate on what's missing, and hold on to bitter grudges. A cultivator, on the other hand, actively trains their mind to see the half-full glass. They immediately look for the lesson, they see past the dark clouds, and they forgive easily. And actually, they don't just forgive because the other person deserves it, they forgive because holding on to anger destroys their own spiritual peace.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Section 4, Steps of Daily Practice. These are the actionable habits.
We have mandatory practices, which are essentially the non-negotiable foundation of your daily routine. Think of it like brushing your teeth, but for your soul. Every single night before bed, a cultivator conducts deep self-reflection. You review your day. You sincerely repent for any negative thoughts or actions you might have had, and you strictly hold to your spiritual precepts to protect your moral baseline. Doing this clears the slate every single day so negativity doesn't build up.
Now, if you want to turbocharge your progress, you add in these elective practices. Reading spiritual books for just 30 to 60 minutes a day feeds your mind incredibly high-quality wisdom. Bowing and frequently visiting a temple helps you align with positive, sacred energy. Then there's focusing your mind on the spiritual portal, which is the center of your spiritual consciousness that acts as an amazing anchor when life gets chaotic. And honestly, just singing spiritual songs can completely shift the vibe of your home, from stressed out to totally serene. Once you have your own house in order, we move to Section 5, Guiding the Family and radiating that energy outward.
You know the saying about putting your own oxygen mask on first before helping others? Guiding others follows a very precise, logical order just like that. First, you absolutely must become an inspiring example of cultivation yourself, because let's face it, actions speak way louder than words. Once you're living it, then you can communicate the value of the Dharma, the universal truth, to your siblings and peers. After that, with a ton of patience and respect, you gently guide your parents. And only when your immediate family is anchored do you start extending that guidance outward to your extended relatives and friends.
And finally, Section 6, Creating a Happy Life. This is the ultimate outcome of all this work.
When you embrace these 6 principles, you literally stop fighting the universe. You step into a flow of deep satisfaction. First, you maintain a deep sense of gratitude, which magically turns whatever you have into enough. You avoid the toxic trap of comparison, because comparing yourself to others is just the thief of joy. You fulfill your own personal duties without trying to micromanage everyone else's life. Crucially, you accept your karmic fate. You accept your current circumstances without resentment, knowing you're just clearing past debts. You avoid creating new karmic debt with animals by truly embracing compassion. And lastly, you remain incredibly humble, completely avoiding arrogance, because you realize you're just one small, beautifully connected part of a magnificent whole.
I absolutely love this thought from Maitreya Buddha. A broad heart accommodates everything to ease worldly troubles. When your heart is small and tight, every tiny inconvenience feels like the end of the world. But when you cultivate a broad heart, you create this vast internal space. The terrible traffic, the rude comments, the setbacks, they all just fall into that vast space without even causing a ripple. You can accommodate the world's imperfections because your own internal foundation is completely unshakable.
So I want to leave you with this. We spend so much of our lives chasing external status, money, validation. But at the very end, the only thing we actually take with us is the state of our spirit. So why wait until the final moment to wake up to that? Why wait until we say goodbye to the world to realize that what we were chasing was empty all along? The steps of cultivation are right here, ready for you. The time is now. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I wish you immense peace on your spiritual path.